Are you guys a fan of the show? If you are, we have a VIP subscription that you can sign up to get much more of your girls here.
Become a premium subscriber and get access to exclusive episodes, ad-free listening, discounts on merch, and so much more. Plus, it's only $5 a month, which is way cheaper than your everyday latte.
To sign up, just go ahead and go to the show notes and you can click the link.
All right. Hey, Ash.
Hey, Taryne.
So we have some guests.
We do have
today.
some guests, which is such a big deal.
I really genuinely feel like we have crossover. Mm-hmm. So I want to do something. I want them just to speak and like, let's just see how many people, and you guys can head to our Instagram because I want to know, like I want DMs saying I knew exactly because I feel like I have one. I've literally been in public and someone heard me talk and was like, Taryne's here. I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. But so we're going to have our two guests say a sentence. How about this? Say your go-to order from your favorite fast food place. That's all you're saying. Just a basic sample of speaking words.
Yeah.
And then let's just see if anyone can recognize their voices.
Okay.
And then we'll jump into it. Okay.
This is fun.
Guest contestant number 1.
Okay. I will get a double, mustard fried, grilled onions. Yeah, I know. Extra pickles, no tomato with animal fries.
I feel like that says so much about, like, I feel like I know deeper who you are now.
I'm taking notes and I have to try that.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never ordered that before.
Contestant number 2.
I'm going to be so pick me right now. I don't eat fast food.
And that's all we need to know.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I'll tell you what, guys, the more I scroll on social media, the more I start to compare my life to the lives that I see online. And depending on my mental health that day, that can lead to a very intense spiral. Because the truth is, social media is not reality, and therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of wanting what others have, so you can start living your best life today. Therapy is a tool for everyday use. Whether you're learning positive coping skills or how to set boundaries, it empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It is not just for those who have experienced major trauma. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, please give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And the thing we love the most about BetterHelp is they allow switching therapists at any time for no additional charge. And we love that. So stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/unsolicited today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/unsolicited. Also, if you have any stories that you would like us to read on our podcast, this is your moment to shine. Send your emails at, what's the email called, Taryne?
Advice, unsolicitedpod@gmail.com. It can be funny. It can be sad. It can be deep. It can be light. It can be your story. It can be a friend's. It could be short. It could be long. All shapes and sizes are welcome. So send it in today. So if you don't know, we have some lovely ladies here. Is it Unhinged Podcast or just Unhinged?
It's just Unhinged.
Maybe the full name is Unhinged Podcast?
We like, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know, to differentiate us from like, just a word. I don't know. We like add podcast. But
So you haven't like, what did Paris Hilton, That's Hot, you haven't like
trademarked it?
Trademarked it as your own. Okay.
Well, I don't know if we should say that. Are people going to steal it?
Scratch it.
Patent pending, okay?
Patent pending. The works are in there.
It's done. That's theirs. Don't come for them.
Yeah, because we'll come
not
for
an
you.
option.
I don't know where I'm looking. I'm like, we'll come for you. I break the fourth wall a lot.
Yeah. No, I love that.
That's
I love that. So Ash, I don't know, because you're the one that connected this. Do you want to kind of give how? Well, also just say your names and like, I'm like, what did we talk about? I already forgot. Where am I?
If you can't figure out who we are based on our fast food and non-fast food order, I'm Emma.
And I'm Chloe.
Love this.
And we're from Unhinged.
The podcast.
Unhinged, the podcast.
I like that.
The way I said "the" just made me think of like my grandparents being like the Facebook.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I just
yeah.
felt so bad. I shouldn't have said it. I'm embarrassed now. Yes. So this is really funny because
funny, like
I'm gonna go ahead and say there's a lot of like core memories in my life, and one of them specifically has you in it. And it's so funny.
That's a very like, that's a big statement.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
And it's so funny because, I mean, I don't know you now really that well. I definitely didn't know you when it happened. And it was like, I've talked about this with our friend Kaylin. It was one of the like, such a high point in my life.
It was
literally
like the best day of my life.
It was such a fun day. We were in Hawaii for a friend's wedding, and as the kids say, we had been gardening.
Yeah, we had been dabbling in some like magical journeys.
We were having a little
Vegetables,
journey.
salads.
I'm
We were eating
embarrassed to admit how long it took me to realize that they were not talking about gardening. It just shows like I'm not the cool girl invited to the group.
It was a magic garden.
I was like, what is garden? I don't get it. Like where they didn't show a lawn. Like I don't get it. But now I get it. I'm caught up.
Anyways, Emma and I and our friends, it was like all the guys went golfing and all the girls plus my boyfriend spent the whole day together. And we had done some gardening, and we ended up like in Hawaii, you can just like chill in the bed of a truck while you're driving. And so me, Emma, and then our friend ended up in the bed of the truck. And it was so beautiful.
It was the most insane, like 45 minutes. It felt like a day.
It felt
like it was 45 minutes.
It felt like forever. And I just remember like looking at you and looking at Kaylin and being like, this is beautiful. This is so fun. And it's just like such a core memory. It was so funny because I genuinely didn't know you.
Yeah.
And I barely knew Kaylin at the time. It was such a great time.
And also, not to mention, we had just done a big hike, and none of us had shoes on for some reason. So we were covered in mud.
Yeah.
Like there was mud just fully encasing
feet,
our legs, everything. And we're
also, your bag got lost, right? Weren't you wearing a crazy bathing suit? Not crazy bathing suit, but weren't you wearing?
Great.
It wasn't top.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I had to go to like.
Specifically, I remember.
Wouldn't recommend.
We were like walking on the beach, and she was like, "I got this from what was it?
Versace.
The ABC store."
Yeah, but it was like Versace. I was like, if this airline's gonna reimburse me, I'm gonna go big. And I got like a $500 ugly Versace bathing suit, which did nothing for my figure. I was like tripping balls, covered in mud, being like, but it's free.
We were like sitting in the waves, and we were like,
there's a picture of us in a wave pool and me just being like legs out. Like I just looked like a toddler splashing around in my own piss.
Yeah, I looked like I was 6 years old, and I was just like playing and having so much fun. But I feel like the gardening aspect really kicked in during the truck ride back to our hotel.
So that's how you guys met. I didn't realize that you had this like chance encounter and then really haven't like talked, but it shows how memorable that was.
Well, so there's another point that makes this really memorable.
Yeah.
Which is the part that our audience will definitely remember and connect with.
Taryne doesn't know.
So
I know nothing.
I have this ex named Hawaii. And he was my date to this wedding that we were at.
Okay.
And after this day, I believe like 2 days later, he dumped me at 6 a.m. on the beach in Hawaii. And I lived in New York. Or no, sorry, I lived in LA. We were 4 days almost complete with our trip. And he dumped my at 6 a.m. on the beach, not even in Oahu. It was on like Wailea. So we were on an even more remote island.
Yeah.
And I had to like pack my and get on a plane and leave the island. And everyone's still texting in the group chat from the wedding being like, that was so much fun, guys. And I'm like, yeah, can we take wait, sorry. Can we take Hawaii out of this group chat?
Are you serious? He couldn't wait like 48 hours?
No.
Seriously.
And you would think I like did something wrong, like I had sex with someone in front of him. No, he was just like, I don't see this working out as a long-term partnership anymore. And I was like,
and you're like, and you chose the beach?
Yeah. Well, first of all, 6 a.m. Like, I know you're not supposed to have conversations after 10
Can I have some coffee first?
But isn't there like a,
I
let's
thought we were
wait
going
till
on
8?
a walk. I thought we were going on a nice walk. I didn't bring my phone. I wore a white dress and I brought my camera. Because I was like, I want him to envision me as like a bride. I'm going to wear a white silk dress.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah. And then he dumps me. And I was like, what?
You know what would have been funny is if like he didn't know that you set your phone on like self timer and was just like,
oh my God, propose or something. Could you?
My God.
Imagine?
The anxiety I feel just thinking about that. That's a lot.
cannot believe that happened.
Oh my God. When you told me, I was like, Wait, what?
You're like, we were just all
I thought we were
together.
all friends.
Yeah.
I thought we were
Wow, what about just really went from like high to low in like a matter of
honestly, the truck being the high. I mean, our friend's getting married.
That was
High
good.
light. Then the truck. Yeah, you know, and then such a low.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So that's
That
what we
is
met.
rough.
That's how we met. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, we would love to just hear maybe like how you guys started, like how you guys met each other, and then if you want to give like a little spiel about like what your podcast is for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah. You want to kick it off since I just sure. It's my most traumatizing moment in the first. I trauma dumped in the first minute of the podcast.
You're in the right place for that, so that's fine.
Safe place. Safe
What a
place.
podcast
I've
is
taken
for.
my dump. Now you go.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but I have a minor in counseling, so like you're in good hands. That's like a joke,
I
right?
was gonna say.
So, yeah.
It is the right.
Me taking notes, and then what happened?
Let's unpack that.
Tell me about. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
We met, and it's my turn to trauma dump now.
Oh, perfect,
We
perfect.
met 8 or 9 years ago. We were just out at what was essentially a promoter dinner.
No, it was a promoter dinner. Let's actually record this.
At Toca Madera, and she was so cool. We just hit it off, but we didn't really hang out after that. My trauma is later that night, I wound up falling and breaking my 2 front teeth. So that's the same night I met.
Ashley?
You've done that?
I didn't fall, but I've broken my one front tooth playing softball for
Is
like
it an
a
extreme
second.
fear you have now?
No. Is it a fear you have now?
It's a huge fear of mine.
breaking it again.
Breaking my
Or
teeth
the other
again.
one.
Like fall. My actual like worst fear at events or anything where I have heels or just generally walking is that I will fall and hit my teeth on the sidewalk and break them.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
That would
broke
be bad.
your 2 front teeth.
Both.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I had left. To be clear, I was
Had
not
nothing
there
to do
help.
with this.
Yeah, she wasn't there. The worst part is I was on a first date and I woke up with like 2 nubs and I was like, where are my teeth?
The question no one wants to hear.
Yeah.
Morning.
So on that note, our podcast is called Unhinged. We started it because of this. We actually met up years later. I moved to New York and we met up and had brunch and we were drinking, of course, and started telling each other these stories. And we were like, wow, we should monetize this content.
Absolutely.
You absolutely should.
Took 5 margaritas and then we made the name on the spot. Got the handle on the spot.
That's
as
amazing.
We're hammered. I have a video of us being like, "We're unhinged. This is a conception of it." Yeah.
I love that.
So also just like such a like what a moment to be like, oh, this is officially happening. We've got
Yeah.
the handle.
Well,
Full
also
send. Like
secured.
you cannot not do it now.
We left each other, and I kind of I think I continued my day. She was like a little more PG with the rest of her day. I blacked out, and then I woke up the next morning to like 4 different links of podcast studios that she sent me. She's like, so we can do this, 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 and this. They have like
She's
Monday
ready to
available.
go.
And I was like, what the did I agree to?
Yeah.
And if she didn't do that, there's no way we would have.
But it always
started
takes.
this.
It's like it takes one person to like you
Make
have the
that.
concept right and you like agree or whatever. But someone has to make like that next step
Yeah.
of like, okay, what dates are you free? Here are
Yeah.
our options, and then it's like that's how you get going.
I really feel like you're me and you're Ash, like
Yeah.
for your podcast. Like
can see
just
that.
from like a few things that you guys have said, or like I listened to the He's Just Not That Into You episode. And just like certain things that were said, I was like, oh, okay, I get their dynamic. I know where I fall. I know where she falls. But I love it.
I was like, here's the plan. Yeah. Here's the outline. Like, here's our studio. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm like doing all the work, and Taryn's just bringing the good.
We're
bringing
definitely
the content.
black cat golden retriever energy.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
We've got to film
one of those videos.
Yeah, we got to do that.
No, I love
Very yin
it.
and yang here right now.
Yeah.
It is. I feel it.
That's we basically unhinge or like talk about why we've acted the way that we have or like why we feel the way that we have, which I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of overlap here with the whole advice.
That's why there's got to be overlap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
there
try.
has to
gotta
be.
We definitely try to, we have these like crazy stories. I mean, my whole life, my friends are like, you gotta do a book or something. You gotta
At
write
least a coffee table book.
Yeah, just something. And we try to take away something from every story we tell, and we try to like add advice. So it's always like Mr. Rogers at the end, and the moral of the story, kids, don't sleep with a murderer, something like that. And we try to like.
Avoid the psychopath.
Yeah, and we also try to like kind of put the spotlight on us. Like, why did we do this? And why are we the way we are? And why
Yeah.
do I keep falling for the same guy?
Yeah.
And, try to make it so people can take something out of it. But at the same time, we drink. the whole time when we record.
Oh,
and,
yeah. Wait, are we doing that tonight?
Oh yeah, yeah. So any requests, let us know.
I like everything.
We're good bartenders.
I'm not picky.
But yeah.
Actually, I'm a new gin girl.
Oh my god.
Are you a gin girl?
Well, so He's Just Not That Into You was recorded on gin. And that was our first time doing gin, which is why I was like,
So it's a new thing. I always wanted to be like a G&T girly or just like a gin martini girly and could not. Like I just couldn't. I was like, that tastes awful. And then slowly but surely it snuck up on me to the point where like the last trip I took, strictly gin martinis.
Wow.
And I was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
But I will say something about Ash that like we're different. Like I take a sip and if I'm like, ugh, like I don't need to ever try it again. Ashley will like one time she was like, I'm gonna start being a whiskey girl. And that I lived with her at the time. I would come downstairs and she would be sitting there with this like stank face, like
down.
and I would watch her and I'd just be like, why are you? And she's like, it tastes great. Like, I love it. And I would just be like, why do you keep sipping it? Like, you look like you smelled so many farts.
I was
like,
every guy I went out with ever loved like an old fashioned. Even Jackson still does. Like, it's like his go-to drink. And I just remember being like, I want to be able to sip his drink and not make that face.
Yeah.
So this is during COVID when I was like borderline
yourself?
becoming an alcoholic. And I was like, I will like whiskey. And so I started making awful whiskey drinks. And they were so bad that I would like make myself sip it. I'd be like,
she would be like dying, and I'm just like sipping on my Diet Coke, just like thriving, and she's just like,
I'd be like,
Just exposure therapy.
I did that
literally.
with dirty martinis. I hate olives. I hate them. But I was like, if there was ever me in a drink, like my aesthetic, my brand, it's a dirty martini.
100%
I totally know
agree.
you well, and I would agree with that.
I'm like,
yeah.
I have to. I can't not. I can't be like, I don't like olives. Like that. You're gonna drink it. So I started drinking it. And
like
now
the
that's
olives?
all I drink.
Do you like
Exposure
olives now?
therapy.
I leave the olives in there. People, whenever I say it to a server, they're like, "Oh, do you want us to not include the olives?" And I was like, "No, that's a part of the drink. That's part of the look, but I don't eat them.
Also,
I just leave them.
You can't take a photo of a dirty martini and not have the olives in
Like
it.
that's just a martini
Part of
glass.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
What are you
It's
drinking?
Cheating.
I can't
It's
tell.
cheating.
One is girl dinner. One is just like you're lying. Just,
It's hilarious. Anyways, yeah. I'm new to Jen.
Yeah.
well, we'll be drinking gin later then. Now,
I will politely choose to not do it. Unless you want me to have the nastiest face the entire time.
She's just like,
what is your drink of choice then?
I'm such a simple, like I'll maybe have like a beer. Like I'm not like too crazy on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm
next
not
to me.
If I don't think it tastes good, then I don't
She
like I
can't,
just can't.
Which is fine. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy it.
I also have the type of personality that needs zero alcohol to still be the loudest, most unhinged person in the room.
Now I see
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. My brother, one time we went line dancing and I came off of the dance floor and he was like, if I didn't know you, I would think you were so drunk. And like at that time, I literally had not had a drop of alcohol. He was like, I'm so like, good for you that you can just, but I'm always just like a hot mess. So it's like, I really don't need much. To,
I mean,
activate that.
that's a superpower. Honestly,
it is.
like
I need at least two.
I just can't tolerate sober people when I'm drunk. Or no, I'm sorry. Wait, I can't but that too. I just can't tolerate drunk people when I'm sober.
100%. Yeah.
It's real. It's not
100%.
me. It's them.
I'm trying to.
You're not the problem.
I'm doing you a favor.
Yes.
Yeah. By having at
Otherwise
least two
I'll
drinks.
punch you.
Otherwise, I'm gonna be like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't handle it.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I'll tell you what, guys, the more I scroll on social media, the more I start to compare my life to the lives that I see online. And depending on my mental health that day, that can lead to a very intense spiral. Because the truth is, social media is not reality, and therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of wanting what others have, so you can start living your best life today. You guys already know Taryne and I are huge advocates of therapy. We have both benefited from it, and I can genuinely say that therapy has changed my life. I think there's a common misconception that therapy is needed after something happens to you, but that is so not the case. Therapy is a tool for everyday use. Whether you're learning positive coping skills or how to set boundaries, it empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It is not just for those who have experienced major trauma. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, please give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And this is mine and Taryne's favorite part, because we firmly believe that sometimes finding the right therapist can take some time and can take a few tries. And the thing we love the most about BetterHelp is they allow switching therapists at any time for no additional charge. And we love that. So stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/unsolicited today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/unsolicited.
Well, we'll move to, okay, so usually we do this segment called Tearing It Up, which was lovingly named after me because weird things happen to me and I do weird things. So people send in just like embarrassing moments or moments where you're like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
So we asked if you guys could bring something. Do we have anything to share? I mean, I feel like everything that you have said could have fallen under that.
Yeah, I feel like 90% of our stories are embarrassing, but I was saying this earlier, like just something, at least for me, like I have no shame.
Yeah.
So when people are like, do you have an embarrassing story? I'm like, no. And then I say something, they're like, that's really embarrassing.
Counts.
And I'm like, oh, is it? Like, I kind of have to say it out loud for someone. So I just said this one out loud to Chloe in the car, and it turns out it was embarrassing.
Chloe confirmed that counts.
So once upon a time in the Hamptons, a land far, far away, it was myself and two of my girlfriends. It was one of those nights where you're just like chasing the night. Like, we started at Surf Lodge. We were pretty drunk. I don't know who I thought I was. I was wearing a gown. I was wearing a floor-length black, like Jen Aniston 2004 Grammys.
God, hot.
See, this is where I'm like, Jen Aniston, 2004 Grammys. I need it. Just kidding. I don't think that projection. But it was like a black halter, floor-length, super, super, super low cut. But it was like it was Zara, but it was a really light material, so I was able to wear it during the summer, and it felt casual. I was in flats, so I was making it work. I was in like flip-flops, so whatever. So I was a terrorist in the Hamptons that week. I was very single. I just got out of a relationship, and I was
ready to go.
I was 3 sheets to the wind at this point, and so we got told about this party. So we're like, we got to go. And if you've ever been to the Hamptons, wherever you go, if you're not just like walking next door, it's like an hour Uber because the road out there, it's a one-way road if you're going from Montauk to anywhere else. So I think we were going to like SAG from Montauk. Okay. And so we get out of the car, and I'm like, I got this, girls. I'll get us into this party. And I like march up to the guy, and I'm like, hello, sir. Like, we would like to come in, the three of us. And he looks down at me and goes, ma'am, your breast is out. Oh. And I look down, and my whole left tit is just sitting there out and I go, oh. I go, so can we come in? And he's like, no, I don't. You need to go home.
No.
And
you are not allowed in the building.
So we quickly turned on our heels. We're now in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, guys, I think we have to go home.
Y'all weird. They're at capacity. Like, I don't even know.
I was like, this is so weird. He told me I was like, just too pretty to be in there. Like, that's what happened.
You're not allowed. You're too cute.
Oh is the best part of that.
Yeah. I was like, that's not supposed to be there.
Oh, hey there.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, if that happened to me, I don't even know. I was saying this before we actually recorded, but like everything is so strong for me. Like, it's like if I feel a feeling, it's just like, woof. So if that happened to me, I would have been like beet red. I would have covered up, and I would have been like, I probably would have just said nothing and walked away.
I wanted to be like,
legitimately.
sorry, it's actually 4 of us.
Oh.
Like, there's 4 girls.
So are we VIP?
So she can't come in, is what you're saying.
Right.
Like,
Do I get a free bottle
She's
for the
to stay
peep
outside.
show? See, that'd be so clever. But in the moment, I'm so taken over by the flood of emotions and embarrassment that I can't speak. Like, my brain shuts down. I can't even move. Like, I'm just like
Debilitating
frozen
embarrassment.
deer in headlights look, and I don't think I could have handled
well,
it
now
as
you
well
have.
as you
She
did.
just gave you the only script you ever need, and it's ow.
Ow.
Not anything. Anything happens, you trip, ma'am.
So can I get a free
Your
table
pants are
from
down.
this peep show that I just
that's all you need to say.
Sir.
The way I speak also when I'm drunk, it definitely was like, stepping in there.
I love it. That's so funny.
I literally
Yeah.
want to make that my text notification. Ow.
Ashley. Ow.
So good.
That's so good.
That's totally a Taryne it up.
Thank you.
That is fantastic.
Thank you for sharing. That's
Yes.
very, yeah. That's very much in the alley of tearing it up.
That's so good.
So we're going to go ahead and jump into one of our stories. And it's funny because you were talking about like how on your podcast, it's like, we just like no filter share our stuff. And then we would like relate. And I'm sure that's why people like love you guys so much. And I definitely felt like that. One of my favorite compliments we get is when people are like, I felt like I was like, you were in the backseat of our car, just like, we're just chatting on the way to a trip. Yeah. And that's how I felt. I was like driving back from Arizona when I listened. I'm sorry. I'm a new fan. If it makes you feel any better, I literally am the worst podcaster in regards to I've never done research on podcasts. I listen to Anatomy of Murder. That is my podcast I listen to. Yeah.
Done. Love Karen.
My favorite
We
murder.
bonded over this.
We
I
have.
love.
I forgot. I
Yes.
should have said that at the beginning of the podcast. That would
Like,
have been so good.
if Ash had a podcast and I wasn't on it, I wouldn't listen to it. And
Yeah.
not because I don't love her, but I just like don't naturally listen to them.
That's so
But
bizarre
I
to
did
me.
listen to the one episode because I was like, I just want to get their vibe.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I think that's something like we both try to create this like two-way street where we just share like the hard things in life, the good things in life, and then we just genuinely try to give advice as if we're like your best friend / big sister, just being like, okay, look, like here's what we think, like whatever. So feel free to chime in if we say something and you're like, wait, I want to say something like this is like your girl's telling you a story and you're trying to like look out for her.
Love it.
So that's the vibes.
Love it.
And I already can tell like you guys will fit
I'm like,
right
ready.
in.
Do we rock, paper, scissors for this one?
I would love to.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Suck
it.
on that, Ash. I never win. Apparently, so we figured this out the other day. Apparently, I always start with, what was it?
No, I always start.
No, she said that she tracked and I always started with the same thing. So I was like, how does she win every time?
No, I was intentionally doing scissors every single time and you weren't picking up on it.
So you were like getting in a room.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, and it
then
was
I
just like the
I
funniest
feel like
thing.
it always starts the same. And she's like, Taryne, it literally does. But
It
again,
literally
ADHD, the second the
so
game's
funny.
over, I didn't play. Like,
Gone.
what are you talking about? Okay. All right. So this one I think is very interesting. And I'm going to say the title, it's going to give away everything, but also like, that's fine. It's worried about my boyfriend cheating and coping with long distance. Hey, Ash and Taryne. I've been listening to your podcast for a couple years now. It's my go-to on my commute to and from school and when traveling. You feel like the big sisters I never had, and I really appreciate all the advice you're willing to share with your listeners. I'd like to remain anonymous, but you can know my name. I'm in my early 20s and I'm in a long distance relationship with my boyfriend who is also in his early 20s. To give you some background, my boyfriend and I have known each other for over 10 years. We started as family friends, then became close friends, and eventually started dating. We dated for just under 2 years when we were teenagers. He broke up with me, which was really, really hard, and we stayed broken up for a couple years. We've had a lot of good conversations since that, and that have made me feel better about the situation. In hindsight, I think we both needed time apart to grow and mature, but I never would have left because of my own anxiety. I'm an anxious attachment girly over here.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't even know what I am. I feel like I probably could hit every form of attachment because if I love you, I don't know my life without you. Like I love you with like my entire being. So I probably trigger every.
I could see, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see anxious
I ebb as
attachment
well.
too.
There's one called disorganized. That's what we are.
Yeah.
It's what you're saying.
It's like all of that.
Thank you. I needed that diagnosis because again, the second I stop talking about it, I'll never remember. So I look it up. So now I know. Okay. Fast forward to now, we have been going strong since getting back together. I'm extremely happy with him and love him more than anything. There's no doubt in my mind that he's the one I want to marry, and he talks to me about our future, whether it be buying a home, moving in together, getting a dog, etc. For context, he is an athlete, and I am in grad school pursuing my 3rd degree. I mean, I just feel like you're way smarter than
Smarty pants. Yeah.
I could ever be.
You know how to ball. I know Aristotle.
Literally. First of all, you have a boyfriend. What's that like? Second of all, it took me 7 years to get 1 degree. So, okay. We are long distance, but up until very recently, our families had always lived 15 minutes from each other, meaning we'd both, when we're home, we wouldn't be long distance through the summer. But recently his family decided to sell their home and purchase one that is a 3-hour drive away. Additionally, he's decided to move to Florida, which would be a 20-hour drive for off-season training. Both of these decisions mean that we are now going to be long distance all year instead of having a 2 to 3 month break from being long distance during the summer. In theory, I should be able to still visit him once a month when he's in Florida. But from my perspective, spending only a few weeks together instead of every day for 2 to 3 months is a big difference. And I'm worried about the strain it'll place on our relationship. Not to mention, once his season starts, seeing him becomes a lot harder due to the distance and all the stuff he has with his team and the amount he travels. We've talked about moving in together next summer, but nothing's set in stone. And I'm not sure financially if it'll be a smart decision. Despite the stress I'm feeling about the toll of being long distance all year, that's not the main reason I'm writing in. Ever since he decided to move to Florida for the summer, I've found myself being extremely anxious and worried about him cheating. No, he's never cheated on me before, at least that I know of. I love how every girl's like, I've never been cheated on. And then you're like, unless he's just like really good.
I'm like that I know of.
But something about Florida is making me worried. This in tandem with the fact that I won't be seeing him a lot is making me overthink. It turns me into an anxious, jealous mess, which I don't like. I don't want him to feel like I'm being unsupportive. I understand why he made the decision, but I can't help but worry about the level of temptation there. His friend that he's training with is a notorious cheater, so that doesn't help. Him being an athlete adds a layer, as I'm sure we've all heard the stories. I'm really struggling getting those thoughts out of my head, and I know it's frustrating him. He reassures me our relationship is strong and won't be affected by the distance, and that he's 100% with me and wants a future with me. He's really given me no reason to worry, but I can't help but think about it. I have this image in my head of him meeting a girl at his training facility on the beach through a friend and being attracted to her more than me, and me never knowing. Cheating has always been my biggest fear in our relationship. The distance and the vibe in Florida is really freaking me out. If you guys have any advice for how to cope with the stress and anxiety that a partner will cheat, especially a long distance relationship, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks for reading my story. Sorry if it was crazy long. Love, Anonymous.
I mean, the vibe in Florida would freak me out too.
I don't know if I've ever really experienced Florida. Do you guys?
I mean, I've only been to Miami.
I do still live there. Yeah, I'm like, is it Miami?
Oh,
No,
Yeah, it depends on the city.
no,
I'm like, that's all I know is Miami.
I get that, but I think if he's never given you a reason, you need to keep that in mind, you know?
I feel like with all long distance, I've never been long distance. I don't know if either of you have, but I feel like it's just normal to stress out about stuff like that. Like you don't see him, like you don't get to see him all the time. So it's hard to calm down those emotions. But I feel like if he's being open and honest with you, you have to be open and honest with him. Then you can't start freaking out about stuff that's not real.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you're just spiraling at that point.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, but I don't believe in long distance relationships. And I refuse to do one. Because I know I need more attention than that. So it just doesn't work for me.
Right.
I would do it if it was a career thing and we were married and we had to for whatever reason. But so there's that. But I will say to my biggest thing to calm any anxieties I have in a relationship or getting into one kind of a thing, I have this 5-box theory, that essentially there are 5 boxes in your life that you should have checked off, and that will result in you being a secure person in a relationship.
Ooh, I love this.
So it's
me taking notes.
I know.
So it's friends, career, wellness, body health, all that, and family. And if you are and then
4.
relationship. So then, sorry, I was like, wait a minute.
She said 1, 2, 3, 4.
I lost a finger. And if you have, actually no, I think the other one was just self, hobbies and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Keeping your time busy. So I think those are the 5, and then the 6th would be relationship. So if you have all of those 5 boxes checked and they're so strong and so stable, you are distracted because you have your own going on, and you don't need to be worrying about what he's doing because you're I've got my thing, do your thing, and if we can come home together, virtual home, whatever it may be, and be that strong relationship, then you have nothing to worry about because even if you were to cheat, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Because you've got the rest of your
Everything
shit
else
in
is taken
life.
care of.
Yeah, all secure. So that would be my advice is make sure that you are stable in every other aspect of your life, and then it'll help you kind of, just feel more secure about that because the anxious part of it comes from a fear of him leaving you and what will you be without him.
Yeah.
But if you have the rest figured out, then
It's not.
Which makes sense because remind me, how old is she again?
They're early 20s. I think she said she's 22 and then she just said he's early 20s. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like based off of that alone, and we'll just go off of like my history, me in my early 20s, I had none of those boxes checked off.
Same.
So, like, it makes sense if she's in a similar boat, like most early 20-year-olds are, then they don't have a lot settled or figured out yet. So it is scary because you're just like, oh my God, I don't have any of this figured out. So all my I'm betting on this one.
No, like he is my box. So it's like we're not well, I'm not well.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like that paints a better picture of her and like where she's at, knowing that.
Well, I think honestly, like I think it's so true that like there's nothing you can or can't do to make someone cheat. Like if they're gonna cheat, they're gonna cheat.
Yes.
Like
yes.
There's
100%.
nothing. So I feel like sometimes like, especially women, we like pick up on a vibe and then go into overdrive on like, okay, well, I need to like show him why he like wants me and like all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I feel like one, like that, you're stressing over something you have like no control over. Two, like, okay, there's two scenarios, right? Like either your fears are true and he cheats on you and you guys aren't meant to be together, or he doesn't and he's your person and you end up with him forever. If you end the relationship because he might cheat, you're missing out on like, yeah, maybe he would have. So like, you technically didn't get cheated on, but you're still heartbroken and like torturing yourself of the what if, or like it could not be that. So I feel like what you said, I'm always like, don't until they show you a reason why. Mm-hmm. It's like you treat others how you want to be treated. Like I would hope that no one is like treating me like I'm not a loyal person if I've never given them an example. And in fact, it sounds like he's always quick to reassure you like, hey, I want a future with you. Like this is not going to be something. And what I would be careful of is sometimes I think like, especially like people who spiral, who I used to be and who know, I mean, I haven't been in a relationship in so long. So I don't know if she's still in there and she's just like,
she just hasn't been released for a while. Yeah.
Cause I was psycho and now I'm like so grounded.
Taking a nap.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm so healthy. I've done all the work. And then when I date someone, I'm going to be like, but I think that sometimes like I would always want to bring up like my insecurities and my issues with my person. And I think a lot of that was like self-work that I needed to figure out. And I think because I was always throwing it on him, it actually made the issue I was so scared of an issue. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like if I were you, I would try to like really figure this out, continue to be like supportive of him, trusting him. If the bottom line is long distance is not for you, like you said, it's not for you. I could not. I need a hug daily, so I could not.
Daily hugs or get out of here.
Yeah, then like that's the issue. But don't have the issue be a fear of a future that you have no control over, because that's just like you're guaranteeing it's not going to work versus like letting yourself just enjoy the ride and like hopefully that's not the issue.
Right.
And you're giving it life. Like once you do that, like it'll become alive. Like it will grow if you are like giving it that energy.
Like feeding it.
Yeah. This weekend actually, my boyfriend, we call him Mr. Right. Okay. Because I think he is. But
he sounds like a gem. From the one episode I heard.
He's honestly amazing. But this weekend, I'm like, this weekend he went on his first boys trip since we've been together, and he went to the Hamptons. And as I know what goes on in the Hamptons.
His tit fall out?
I mean, there's girls walking around there with their tits out. So clearly I have something to be worried about. But so he went to the Hamptons. And, you know, normally we say goodnight to each other every night, even when we're apart. We text each other, like a little check-in. He didn't text me Friday night. And that's when he got there, was Friday. And I was going to let it slide. But then we didn't talk also Saturday morning until like 10:30. And he was like out and about. And I was like, and I had texted him first. So I was like, you didn't text me first. So moral of the story is that I actually said to him, we got on the phone and he was very understanding. He was like, I totally get where you're coming from. I'm so sorry. I should have done this, XYZ. I still read him the riot act because he deserves to hear it. Because I was like, you ruined my morning. Yeah. So I'm gonna ruin yours. Yeah. But I did say to him, I was like, I tried to be cool girl. I tried to be cool girlfriend with you going out here. And I was like, me acting that way is a direct result of how you act. So I can be crazy girlfriend. I was like, if you want to not text me, I was like, if you want to not text me and you want to make me feel anxious, I will be crazy girlfriend. And I was like, but if you reassure me and make me feel safe and comfortable, then we got no problem. Yeah. So if you check in and make me know, you know, if you care about me, you care about my peace. Yeah. And like that kind of sounds like what this girl needs to kind of have, I mean, it sounds like she does have that, you know, understanding with her boyfriend that he's saying, you've got nothing to worry about. So I think she needs to like lean into that and understand like that's actually really healthy and he's doing his part. So she should do hers and like give him the grace of like innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I have a really good close friend who did like super long distance. I say super because my boyfriend lived in Venice and I joke all the time that like me and him were long distance because I'm in the valley and I was like, what's the weather like over there? Like, I don't know. But they lived in 2 different countries. She was in Singapore at the time and he was in the States. He was in California and they did long distance for like 2 years. And one thing they did religiously that I think led to their success, because they've now been married for years and have 2 kids, is they did like daily FaceTimes, even if it was only for a minute. Even if because they were doing long distance through college. So even if they were like running into class, they would like step out real quick and be like, hi, like, hope you're having the best day. And like, I can't talk, unfortunately, but like they would always do something like that. And then they did like weekly Skype dinners, which I thought was so freaking cute. And that was before like Netflix had like the shared let's watch a movie thing. Like they would like sync, which was so cute. And they would like both eat dinner together all the time. And I feel like there's little things like that if you do your homework and do that alleviates everything. Like you said, like the landed text, like the, hey, we're good, we're safe, like have a good night text, that cancels out all anxiety. And all it takes is a little bit of proactiveness. Yeah. Like a little defense of like, all right, like let's put all of this into play so that we don't have to even go there.
Yeah, make a plan. Yeah. Overly communicate. And it's okay to say like, hey, I'm feeling a little anxious about this. Like a little reassurance could go a long way.
Totally.
You know? And also there's a difference between your intuition and anxiety. And you have to remember how to separate the two.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, that's really good.
Jeez.
Yeah. So if there's like, you know, your stomach's churning and something feels off, like and it's not going away, it's incessant, and maybe you have some evidence, sure, investigate. But if it's just this like empty feeling of anxiousness and you're not sure why, like I get it. He's an athlete. It's Florida. Like these are things that you hear about and you get scared, but you have to remember who he is and why you love him and who you're dating, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Also, not to mention, like, you guys have such a freaking foundation. Like, you've
10
known
years.
each other 10 years. Like, you've, like, dated, then grew up, and still found your way back. So, like, I mean, some of us are out here trying to get, like, a response. Like, that last, like, 5 minutes. I just want to text back. Like, dang. So, it's, like, I feel like don't discount. Like, you almost need to, like, you know, like you write like mantras and you like read them out. Like you almost need to like, when you're in a good place, just sit and like bullet point facts. Like he chose to be with me for a reason. Like he's very openly with me. He's told me he wants a future. Like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I get like my therapist used to always, when she was like, honey, we got to get control of those thoughts. She was like, okay, you need to, the second a thought enters, you need to be like, 1, do I have any evidence to prove this? And then 2, is this thought something that's helping or harming me? And so for me, like, even if I'm like, oh, Ash is mad at me, it's like, okay, well, what, like, let me actually think factually. Like, has she said anything to me? Like, has she like blown me off? Is she being rude? Like, no, most of the time it's like, I'm just insecure about myself in that moment and I'm projecting it onto her. So it's like, I think there's things you can do. I think with like mental health specifically, people want to like find the one TikTok that says like, oh, I take 5 deep breaths and I magically feel okay.
Right.
No, y'all, it's a part-time job if you really are trying
genuinely.
You have to brainwash yourself.
Brainwash
yourself. Yeah.
Everyone's like, Taryne, how are you doing so well and confident? I had 8 years in the trenches.
This is expensive.
It's costing me a lot of therapy, a lot of crying, a lot of self-work, and a lot of like practice and like resetting my mind. Like, yeah, that same negative thought came in my mind 50 billion times today, but I kept matching it with the one that I'm like, no, I'm replacing with this. So it's like, if you are struggling with an insecurity, you're struggling with the thought pattern, like do the work, like find your tools, find your things that you need to do, whether it's like humming Twinkle Twinkle, I don't know, like find what works for you and then like be like disciplined about it, you know?
Yeah. I think also being able to communicate your needs and being with someone where they make it feel like a safe space to do that.
Yeah.
So if she does, like what Chloe said, like, you know, if you're feeling anxious, let him know and be like, hey, I'm feeling a little anxious about this. Like, let me just vent to you and tell you what I'm thinking. And if you're with a good guy or partner, like they will say, they won't say you're crazy because that would be gaslighting, but they will say, you know, you have nothing to worry about. These are the things what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
And I think that's like the point or the cornerstone of a healthy relationship is, you know, a partner that doesn't want to feed your anxiety and wants to find your peace with you and like help you get there.
Absolutely.
And like, you know, has those exercises down with you and coming up with that plan of like, let's do these things, you know.
And again, I feel like that's something I wasn't able to do until I got older.
Yeah.
100%.
If I'm like thinking of 22-year-old Ashley, she could not do that at that time. So maybe this is something to like start practicing and working on and like fine tuning those skills of being able to communicate like, hey, love you. Glad you're chasing your dreams. Here's what I'm going to need from you.
Your location.
Yeah.
When I send you a donut emoji, I need 5 compliments pronto. Like 5 reassurances.
Yeah, like a safe word or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Just being like, panicking over here. Can you like give me anything?
Oh,
like
that's
literally
cute.
anything.
An
That'd be
emoji.
so cute.
Ash knows, I'm almost too vocal about what I need. And because I believe people need to know how to love you. And like specifically. So like I literally, we bring this up all the time, but when I lived with her, I was like, hey, I need you to like look me in my eyes when I come down the stairs and say good morning. Cause like she's very like in her routine, like emails, hey, like, and I'm like, no, I need like 5 seconds of like, hi,
I kept
I'm
feeling
glad you're
this
here.
like resentment starting, or not resentment. What's the word? It was like
I was
hostile.
huffing.
It was
Tension.
so upset. And then
I'd
one
be like
morning she
putting
sits
dishes
me down.
loud, like, yeah, I'm girl. That I'm here.
Good morning. I said
Like,
good
you
morning.
see me? Yeah.
But I was so like, she was also like my first roommate.
Yeah.
I've always just lived, me and my sister moved out together and it was just like the two of us. And like me and her both do our own things. Like we're very like independent in our own.
Coexist.
Yeah. Obviously, because we grew up together. So Taryne coming into the mix, she literally had to sit me down and be like, I said good morning. And I need you to look at me and say good morning back. And I was like,
not ashamed of needing.
I just remember being like, okay, but like I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. And her family is very like, good morning, good morning. And my mom was
shaking
like,
hands in the morning.
hello, hello. But I always was just like, oh, that's just mom. You know, I didn't realize like other people needed that.
Well, and it was so like first I talked about not being acknowledged, and then I could tell she didn't get it. So then I got specific of like, literally just like look up at me when I say good morning, and it's like
because acknowledgement in my head was like, hey,
yeah, but like that doesn't make me crazy. That makes me like wanting our relationship to be successful. So I've had that before where I had like a code word, or I told my ex, who I mean he didn't honor it, which is why like then it fell apart. But I'd be like, hey, like 5 of your exes are still very involved in your like life, and we're around them, and like sometimes like it's too much for me. Like, can I give you like if I give you an arm squeeze, can
when
you
I
just
say
like
it, I could never.
look at girl?
Never.
Again, the reason I got so psychotic, he always told me I was psychotic, but I was like,
I think he made you.
You made me.
Yeah.
Like chicken before the egg, like definitely. I was fine before. Yeah. But it's like, I would be like, okay, like if I like in the moment, like all I need is for you to just like look at me and say you love me or tell me I look pretty. Like I'm like a chia pet. Like I just need like 2 things to like thrive. And like he couldn't even give me that. So I literally like, but I would tell him, can someone please make a chia pet of my face?
That needs to be like a centerpiece.
Yeah,
On the coffee table.
I wonder if you can do custom ones looking at, actually I'll forget. But anyways, but I think that like, I don't think that makes you like high maintenance. I think that makes you smart if you're strategically like, hey, here's this issue. Like, let's together come up with a way that feels good for both of us and our skill sets.
Well, I think that makes you an adult.
Yeah.
Of being able to say, here's what I need.
Yeah.
Take it
I
or leave
always
it.
say like the difference between a relationship and a partnership. Relationship, it's how you relate to each other. Partnership is like you are working towards a common goal and like you are
I love
partners.
that.
So you're doing it together. Relationship is just like how you're coexisting basically.
Yeah.
So if he is like your partner, he will sit there and like work towards this common goal with you.
He'll make changes.
Yeah.
He'll take steps.
Yeah. And so what you said earlier, Taryne, where you were like, if a guy's going to cheat, he's going to cheat. You need to disarm the big scary thought too, right?
yeah,
Because at the
I
end of
agree.
the day, what's going to happen if worst case scenario happens, which it likely won't, but if it does, you're just gonna glow up.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna evolve,
And the glow up
especially
is
in your
always
early
so
20s.
good.
Yeah,
The
it's so
2.0.
good. You're gonna get hotter. You're gonna learn. You're gonna evolve. So really, like the worst case scenario is not even that bad. So
Yeah.
relax. You know.
Also,
No,
she
I
has her whole
love
20s.
living like that.
Oh yeah.
She's her whole, like a whole decade ahead of her.
Seriously, I just listened to. Do you guys like Mel Robbins or listen to Mel Robbins ever?
I have. Yeah.
Just my favorite murder.
I don't know who it is.
Yeah. She has a podcast and she said something specific. Literally, I listened to it the other day, and it was essentially what you were saying. And she was like, the word is, or the phrase is, let them. If you feel anxiety about anything, like let other people that are in your life live their life, and they'll show you who they are. And that way, you don't have to stress about them doing something to you, because they're going to do it no matter what. Like whether it's now or later, like that's who they are. So like let them be them, and focus on what you can do. And if it doesn't click, it doesn't click. And like, let them go, let them do their cheating, do their life or whatever. And then you move on. And then that way you're not sitting here spiraling, thinking about like, what could they possibly see in Miami that's going to cause them to cheat, when it's like,
Yeah, like
you're
if
not even
all-
there. Like
if
you
a
can't
hot
do anything
girl
about it.
walking by him in his training facility is all it takes for him to cheat on you. He
gonna
wasn't
cheat.
yours.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he really wasn't. And I
inevitable.
agree. I always think like that. And I tell every time my friends are spiraling, I'm like, okay, what is the worst case scenario? And like, okay.
Yeah.
So like he does.
You'll be
Okay.
fine.
So you're alone. Like, okay. Even like I had like a surgery a year ago, and I remember everyone's like, why are you so calm? I'm like, worst case is I die, and like then I'm not going to be stressing about anything. I'm going to be chilling with Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
guys problem.
yeah,
There won't be any problem.
like I don't know for you,
fine.
but like I'm going under, so like I'm going to be like fine. So it's like, but it's like, you know what I mean? I think like you take the power away from something when you're like, well, either way, like this isn't going to break me. Like I will survive. It'll suck,
Yeah.
but I'll survive.
Also, my biggest regret in my early 20s was the amount of energy that I spent stressing over a guy. Like, if I had put that toward myself,
We'd
oh
be
my
so
God.
rich.
Be so rich. Yeah. And looking back on it now, I catch myself doing that. Still, sometimes I'm like, no, I don't have the energy for that. It's all mine. I need
Not
it
today.
to get through the day. He can't have it. You
Yeah.
know?
You should be like selfish with your energy. Like I think that's such a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Get those 5 boxes in order.
Yeah.
Put energy
Do
on
your
that.
homework.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
your
isn't
homework.
it like I've heard so many people, or I think you guys said it on your podcast. Not me like quoting you as if it wasn't you. I'm like, these girls I listen to.
She's actually a huge fan now.
I'm such a fan. I'm like, hi.
It's us.
So what did you say? Or did you, I think it was you guys or it was TikTok. That's all I'm like, I either studied in this school or it was TikTok.
Me, I'm always like, I read this article or I saw a TikTok video.
Yeah. But it was something about like how God, like you, if you just like disappear, like that does more. Did somebody say something about that? Like don't
we've
text
said
him,
that a
just
lot.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
disappear almost.
Like you said that with like well, that was with the timing of text.
Oh yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
did I
like,
say? What were you-
like how you give it like distance and that makes them want to text you.
Yeah, like if they text you and you said, yes, I remember. Because I was like, oh my God, I feel so embarrassed and I'm totally gonna admit it. But you were like, when someone texts you and you instantly text back because you're like, oh my God, while they're still on their phone because then they'll text me back. I was like, that's so embarrassing hearing someone say it out loud because I totally have done that where I'm like,
yeah,
trying so
yeah.
hard.
And I was like, don't rush the answer.
Yeah.
because,
Like,
you
give
have to sit there
distance.
and
Yeah.
like, but yeah, it's
There
not.
is an art to that delicate period of getting to know each other where it's like, can't text too soon,
Yeah.
like you can't text too much, like you want to be distant, but you want to be like involved. Like
And I
involved.
think men work like that specifically. Like I've seen so many things that are like before a man commits, like he almost goes through like a withdrawal period and then he comes back like while he's
it
still
was
trying
like
to like
let me see if I miss her kind of thing.
Well,
and like to commit because
They
they're
say
scared.
that men don't fall in love in the same room as a woman. They fall in love when they're not in the room
Yes.
with them. Whereas
Yes.
women fall in love when you're right in front of me. And I'm like,
Yes.
look at all the things you're doing and you're so cute and you're
Yeah.
this and you're that. But like men fall in love when you're not there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if we don't give them a chance to not be
Yeah.
me, I'm like, hi, like
Yeah.
good morning. Like,
There was a
what's going
time
on?
you were talking to someone and I was like, no, let them miss you or something
Yeah.
like that. And
I was like, what if he
that's-
forgets what I look like?
Guys are like, she's so cool. Like, you know, she's not answering me all day. I'm like, I locked my phone in a safe box in my
Yeah.
room to hide it from me so I don't text you.
Yeah, I gave
Like,
myself a timer. I'm not allowed to text
Yeah.
you until the timer
but
goes off.
whatever, you know, you think I'm cool. Yeah, I'm
Live
so
your
cool.
life. Such a
Every
cool
time
girl.
I'm like, how am I still single? But then I'll hear some of the stuff I say and then I'm like, oh. I'm like, maybe that's it.
I was with my family this weekend and my uncle I haven't seen in a while. He was like, I listened to a couple of episodes of your podcast. It's great. I don't think it's helping you find a husband though. I was like,
Uncle Jerry.
he said I was looking for one. Oh.
That's not the point.
Oh my! How do you even respond? Just like, oh,
You're not our demo. So good luck, girl.
Yeah.
Florida.
all that to say, we wish
You've
you
got
the best.
this. Do
Yeah,
your
wish you the
homework.
best.
Do your homework. Check the boxes. Have the conversation with him or communicate with him. And
Also, I'm
that was
sorry.
it.
Why is he the only one in the equation that is like, oh, what if I lose him? Like, hi, what about you? Like,
Yeah.
you're the prize too. Like, remember who you are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like,
Also,
he
like-
should be scared of losing you during this.
I like the move-in narrative. Like, move in with each other.
Yeah.
We've known each other for like 10 years.
I don't know.
Well, next
Be
next
together.
summer. But also, that's like a sign. He's saying like a year from now, let's move in together. The fact that he's thinking that far, like, he's showing you he's like in this.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he would have mentioned that at all.
I'm just saying
if
he
was
should be scared.
thinking
You're
about-
a nursing. Did she say
She
nursing
has
or did I
7
make that
degrees.
up?
I think you mean
Okay, never mind.
I don't
was gonna
remember
say
the
hot
nursing.
doctoring.
You're
I don't know.
you're a nurse.
You're saving lives. You're just
so
She's like a lawyer, but
She's like, I'm in communication, so I don't. Anyways, you're a prize too. Remember that. Give him the benefit of the doubt, and you got this.
Okay.
Till he makes it to the pros, and then like you get to live that
Yeah.
wag life. My
And then you
dream.
just got to deal with it.
I think I've accepted I'm too old. I need to go for coaches now because I think the athletes are out of
There's
my
nothing wrong with coaches.
Okay,
bracket.
I was watching a baseball game with my family and I saw the hottest baseball player. I was like, who's number 22? And they're like, that's the coach. He's 45. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Not
Can
for
you
my
send me his app?
I'm very much like I don't even want the son. I'm like, what's your dad like?
Tell me about your father.
Yeah, divorce. Perfect.
Perfect. Damaged. I got it.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into my story. I'm not going to say the title. And we'll just see where the story
Love
takes us. Hey, guys, just a heads up. I like to remain anonymous, but you can know my name. It's bleep it, Michaela. I am a longtime fan of both of you guys. And Ashley was one of the first vloggers I started watching back in high school.
Oh, gee. Does that make you feel old?
That makes me feel
and
very old.
decrepit.
I always
Maybe that
find
was
it.
2 years ago for her.
Yeah, that's true. That's
We
true.
don't know
That's
how
true.
old she is.
Could have been. True. True. I'm thinking me. I'm like, oh. I always find it funny because I resonate so much with Ashley, and my sister always resonated more with Alicia, who's my
What about
sister.
me? This is not about them.
It's not about
I'm
you.
in this
It's not about you,
podcast too.
Taryne. Get out.
Come on.
So on to my story. My husband and I moved to our current city about 2 years ago, and for the longest time, I didn't have a single friend here. Then a year into us living here, I became friends with a girl who lives in our apartment complex. We hit it off right away. Both Swifties and into all of the same things. In the year we have known each other, she has dated several guys, each with the hope of marriage, which I just let her do her thing. Who am I to judge? But what concerned me is after a couple days into the week, she would be talking about marriage with these men. Then last October, she quote,
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
And this isn't like for dramatic effect.
No.
Literally I didn't pay attention for a second.
Yeah.
Did you say a couple days into it?
a couple days into like the week of having met the guy.
Oh, shnikes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry. Anonymous.
no.
I'm not. I'm gonna save my thoughts, but like that wasn't for dramatic.
That
like,
was
oh,
a
why did you do that?
clarification.
I
Just a
literally
clarification.
Like, yeah, I blanked for a second.
Then last October, she, quote, meets a guy who also lived in our apartment complex. And I say meets in quotations because to everyone else, it seemed he had been stalking her. They go on a date together, and after one night, she is so convinced that he's the one for her. A week after dating, they move in together.
No.
And then not even a month into dating, they announce
No.
that they're engaged. They recently got married on what would have been their 6-month mark of dating and are now expecting their first child.
Just keeps escalating.
My friend seems so happy. All she has ever wanted is to be a wife and a mother. But I'm worried.
I mean, same. My ovaries are dying over here, but like dying.
Part of me is like, true love.
I know. Part of me is like, wait. The older I get, the more I'm like, that would be nice. I have to be married that long before. Let me calculate.
Oh, shoot. We're worried.
But reminder, we're worried.
Yeah, to level set the room. We are worried.
Exciting, but also throughout the relationship, there have been numerous red flags. Love bombing, obviously.
Well, duh.
He telling her who she can and cannot be friends with.
Woof.
There it is.
And her overall personality seems to have changed. And her new husband overall seems very manipulative. I'm not the only friend that sees this either. No one in our friend group likes the new husband, and they also have expressed concerns for our friend and her relationship, although not to her, just amongst ourselves. We all worry if we talk to her, she will isolate herself, and then we'll just lose contact.
Yeah.
Let's consider it.
Yeah. We always wish to be mothers together. I also have a 1-year-old boy, and we always wanted to be the types of families that hung out together, did double dates and vacations, etc. However, my husband and I don't feel comfortable around her husband, nor do we want him around our child.
So that the guy feels weird
Including-
around
yeah,
him too.
her
That's
husband.
interesting.
Guys are like dogs. Like they can
Yeah.
sense danger.
I think
Yeah.
they can.
No.
And I think I'm very much like too nice sometimes to see things.
Yeah.
So like,
No, that's
I
it.
don't see. I'm colorblind with flags.
yeah.
So
Is it red or
yeah, I'm like it looks a little green.
kind of pink? Kind of like it.
It's orange.
Shoot, where was I? Don't feel comfortable around our child. I don't want to lose my friend, but I don't know how we can continue to be close when we have to always make excuses for why we can't hang out with her and her husband. I'm sorry this was so long. It was not. I hope you ladies are able to help a gal out with some advice. Love, Anonymous.
Oh my god.
Woof.
I want this to be a documentary series.
Literally.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hope it's not.
There's so many levels. There's so many levels, and obviously we're on Anonymous's side. She's the one who wrote in, and I don't want her to lose a friend because she just moved to a place and doesn't have a lot of those. But at the same time, a friend should say something,
Yeah.
right? But also, the deed is done.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like she's in the dating phase where you could be like, "Hey, that's love bombing." They're
Yeah.
married.
Pregnant, right?
They're pregnant.
She's
yeah.
being a good friend though for identifying that like it could lead to isolation.
Totally.
So like I think that she's got a good head about her. I think it's just like one of those you need to be a very reliable fly on the wall.
Yeah.
And like look out for your girl and just
Totally.
like be hyper aware of all of the things happening. Like maybe keep a little journal in case something does happen. And like you've got records of
Yeah.
like, I heard this night. Like there needs to be corroboration because if something happens and she has never told anyone, I watch a lot of SVU. And if the cops have never heard anything happening before and there's no one to corroborate, they're like, this could not be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could totally
So.
be fake.
Yeah, or not even if it gets to the cops, but if she comes and like they fall apart and she feels gaslit, you can be like, well, here, I've been keeping a record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
My diary.
let me bring the facts.
Yeah,
The
receipts.
receipts that I have been keeping on your behalf as your bestie.
Yeah.
And obviously, I feel like, we were just recently talking about eyebrow blindness. I feel there is a love blindness, like the whole, I don't see the red flag because I'm just so enamored with you. And she never left her honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Like she met the guy. They a
Still
week
in it.
later moved in. Like 6 months later got married. Like that. All of that is pure bliss, right? Or supposedly should be. And I don't think that she's necessarily had a second to really like.
That's not something you can see when you're in it.
No, like when that's happening that fast, like you can't see stuff like that. So I don't think that she's I would agree with you and your friends. I don't think that she's necessarily in a place where she could probably hear that right now.
even if you said it.
Especially being expecting like I'm gonna have this man's child now, so I can't hear that he's an awful person. Like I can't hear that because now we're not only are we talking about my husband, we're talking about my baby's father now, and that's just like. That's too heavy. So I feel like she probably can't hear it. I love the idea of keeping receipts and like,
Being a little
I don't
Nancy
want to
Drew.
I don't want to say gossiping because it's not. I don't think it's gossiping when you're all genuinely concerned about her. So like, maybe working with your friends to kind of keep an eye out on her and just like keep tabs on her, making sure she's good. I don't see it going well.
No, and I will say,
say
like,
that.
the only thing that, because, like, I'm the last person to be, like, leave a friendship. Like, I will, like,
Ride or die.
go to the ends of the earth for my friends. But she said something about we don't feel safe having our kid around him. Yeah. So, girl, if you got to make a decision that's for you and your family, like I fully support that. But I would do something to where I like leave someone with like, hey, here are my concerns and please like watch out for her. I would probably have like a very honest conversation because I'm like, you're not going to want to hear it. And you might be like, I don't want to talk to you anyways.
Yeah.
But I would just be like, here are the things I'm concerned about. And for our sake, like we just can't associate with him. And I would never ask you to choose between us and him. So I understand if that means we can't be like around each other as much. But I don't know, like if it's to that level where you're like, I don't feel safe when my child is around them. Like I also feel like it's at least worth acknowledging. Like if you genuinely feel like you can't be in that friendship because of like the safety of your family, like sometimes it comes to that and that's hard, but I would still, like if she's your friend, I would leave in a way that's like,
you wouldn't
if I can't be here to watch out for her, I'm gonna make sure that there are people that are like clued in.
Yeah. Also, I'm just concern for your child is so much more than love bombing.
No, that's-
I'm like, what else is going on?
That's why when you said that, I was like, that's like all I've been able to think about because that's a big statement
there
to
must
make.
be other things happening for her and her husband to decide like we can't hang out with him.
And to the point of like leaving, like having it being a productive exit, I think not making it about the love bombing, not making it about what has happened as far as like their relationship is on. Because yes, like the nail is in the coffin. They are married. They are having a child. Yeah. It's more of like, these are the behavior patterns that I'm noticing, and this is where I think it could happen, like go wrong in the future. And I just want you to be aware, like, because there's nothing you can do. There's no point in making her feel bad about like being a victim to love bombing.
Yeah,
because, like, been there many times, and I still am a little delusional about it. I was like, oh wow, like they like fell in love so quickly. Like I get that, and it's really hard to not see that because hopeless romantic have hope for whatever, for true love and soulmates. So it's almost like not making it about that, and you should make it about like the safety thing because like what is going on,
and that's enough.
Yeah, and give examples.
That's
like,
enough.
Concrete
detailed.
facts.
I always say like even in like with my job, I have like a lot of meetings, and it's always like I try to find like 3 to 4 of my like main bullet points that would reach into everything. Because sometimes I think people go to have these conversations and you get lost in like the length. Like you're like, you've been talking for 45 minutes. So like, I have no idea like what we just talked about. So like narrow down your 3 most important like points. And then with each of those points, have a very detailed, specific example. Because it's one thing to be like, I feel like he stifles your flame. Like, I feel like you are not yourself when you're around him. And then be specific and be like, girl, when I met you, you loved to go dancing. And now when I ask you to go dancing, you're like, I have to ask his permission. Like something very specific that would like encompass the bullet point.
Well, she said manipulative.
Yeah.
So like give an example, a clear example of like how he's been manipulative with her.
Because if it's your opinion that you're bringing to the table, she's going to be like, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he's not like that with me.
Right.
What do you say to that? It's like, okay.
Well, then bye.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, then, I made that easy.
Almost try to, I mean, I hate to say like wait for something to happen, but if it's happening consistently, when something arises, pull it out of her. Be like, how do you feel about like the fact that he doesn't want you to see so-and-so anymore? Like, are you pissed off about that? And see if you can get her to like admit that it affects her and kind of dig for things that are going on, because everyone wants to put on a happy face and a facade to their friends, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you can pull it out of her to start the conversation.
And then every time you're around her phone, just go, I'm with a narcissist, I'm with a narcissist, I'm with a narcissist. And then like some of the videos will start coming.
And then TikTok will do its thing.
All of a sudden the algorithm will prove it to her.
Signs you're with a narcissist. She'll be like, why does this keep coming up? Yeah. And you just be like,
Sending it to her, be like, oops, didn't mean to send that.
Sorry,
That's such a good idea.
That's a great idea. That's very
wow.
I'm telling you.
I love
2024,
that.
man.
Yeah. That's like secret agent ninja getting in her algorithm. I love the waiting for the in the moment because the topic brings itself up, and instead of you having to do like a sit down, like, hey, not like an intervention feeling. You know.
Also, if she cools down after something happens, she's not going to have the same reaction as if it was in the moment.
Where if it's in the moment, I'd be like, oh, like you're right. Like,
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying, you know, whereas otherwise I'd be like, oh, I don't think he meant it that way.
Yeah,
If I
exactly.
forgot about it, you know, the feelings
Something
are
I've
gone.
started doing, and feel free to steal this and be like, oh my God, I listened to a podcast where they said they do this, and I thought, like, I need to do this for my friends. Feel free to steal it. My downfall in my relationship is I was so protective of how people viewed him that I shared 0% of our dirt.
I did that.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I protected the crap out of him. So it wasn't until we broke up that I started sharing, like, oh, he used to say this or do this. And my friends were like, that's
Sorry?
not
Yeah.
it. Like, that's not
Yeah.
normal. So something that I do with my friends all the time, because I'm like so determined to never fall in that trap and I never want them to. And I want us to be comfortable having those discussions, is I always will say, I do this to Ash all the time. I'm like, what's the last fight you got in? Or what's the last time that he did something that you were annoyed about? And we have just a normal conversation about it. Most of the time they're like, oh, okay, like I just vent about this, and then I give them advice if they need it, or I'm just like, oh, that was annoying, and then we move on. But there's been some friends where they've said something that I was like, that's a little weird. Like, that's a little weird that he spoke to you like that and you're telling me so casual. So that was when my antenna went up, and I would ask very strategic, like, follow-up questions. Again, not making them feel judged or making them feel like I hate him, but being like, that's interesting. Like, I wonder, like, why he would say that. Like, does he say that often? And I would, like, talk about it. But with each of those friends, I've told them, hey, this was what I fell in the trap, and like, I'm just letting you know, like, I'm going to ask you this every once in a while because I think it's important. So I think that could be something you use to kind of slide in of like, I want to talk to you about stuff that me and my husband fight about. Why don't you talk to stuff that you guys fight about?
Yeah.
And maybe she'll slip and say something.
I like that. We talked about this on an episode the other day. I have pseudonyms for all of my exes because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track. One of them we call the narcissist. So we dated for only 4 months, but he love bombed me in the beginning. And it was to the point where we were basically living together after like 3 weeks. And we were traveling back and forth between New York and Dallas together. Like, there was a dog. Like, it was like very much like we were married immediately. And I said to Chloe in one of our episodes, I was like, I didn't tell anyone what he was saying to me or doing to me because I wasn't gonna leave yet.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person also that, like, I will give it every last stitch of effort before I walk away. So I didn't feel like I was going to do that. I wasn't ready to walk away, so I didn't tell anyone. And you had said, like, that's scary because you isolated yourself. And you, like, no, I said if my mom knew what he was saying to me, she would have ripped me out by my ears.
Yes.
And if you can't tell your mom, if you're not proud of what your partner is doing, and you cannot tell your mother or, you know, any adult figure in your life like that, I'm not an adult, any, you know, motherly figure in your life, then that's not it. Like, you need to be proud of what they're doing and how they are treating you. And if you're
totally
not,
agree.
get the out.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's great advice.
So good.
If I can't tell my mom,
Yeah.
run.
Because once I do, it's over.
Right. Right. And it's so weird when you're in that period of, like, I guess, being a victim to love bombing. Like, you're just not open to hearing people's thoughts. So you're like, no, I don't want to hear it. Like, I'm happy. I'm in love. Like, this has all been so fun and exciting because it is. The love bombing experience is usually fun and exciting in the beginning.
Yeah.
I have a question. When you moved in after 3 weeks,
It wasn't on a lease. It was like squatting.
okay, but was it was still like a move-in moment. Was there a moment where you were like, is this crazy? Or
where am
did
I?
it feel like right the whole time?
Well, we didn't actually move in. Like, it was just like he would stay with me for like a month, and then I would go stay with him for a month, and we would like alternate back and forth.
Yeah, see, that makes it more gray.
Yeah,
because it's not an
but
actual move-in.
I have like another one that I did this with. I do this a lot. Yeah, so I was dating this guy in Washington, and our whole first date scenario and how it started is a story in its own. But essentially, it was a COVID thing. I went and he invited me out to Scottsdale. I drove there. I was going to stay for 4 days. I stayed for a month and a half. Wow. And I basically like moved up to Seattle with him. Like, I was staying like 2-3 months at a time. And then after like 4 or 5 months, my roommates were going to move out in LA. And I was like, it's still COVID. I don't know where if I'm ever going to go back to the office. I don't know what to do. I can't afford living by myself. He was like, why don't you just come move in with me? And that will, you know, until you figure out what you're going to do. So I put all my storage. I no longer had a lease in LA. So I was like living with him. I shipped my car up, everything. And the night before I moved up with him, we got in a huge fight. And I had a panic moment. And I was like, should I be doing this? Should we be doing this? Should we break up? Like, what? And we'd only been together for like 5 months.
Right.
And I did it anyway. And it was fine. But I was like, it was Stockholm syndrome. I was just
cooking 3 meals a day. I was living with him. I didn't have friends. I did have a car at that point, but I didn't have any activities to do. He would golf 5 days a week. So I was just like home cooking.
5 days a week?
Yeah, and he wasn't even that good for 5 days a week.
First of all,
His
His handicap was like 21.
Oh,
and
no.
you're
Yeah.
golfing 5 days a week.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No
but
excuse.
there was a little alarm that went off in my head and I did not listen to it.
Okay.
But I stayed another
you
6
did
months.
hear the alarm.
Yes.
Okay.
It was just like a very
That just makes
faint,
me wonder if she's the friend's friend who's actually married and expecting. I wonder if like has heard that, or if she's just like fully,
Yeah.
you know?
The thing about love bombing is because when it first starts happening, you're like, oh, this is what I deserve. As a matter of fact, like ramp it up.
I'm a
Give me
princess.
more.
Give
That's
me
so,
more.
And you're so used to getting like crap. You're like,
Yeah.
thank you. This is what I want. That's such a good
am
point.
beautiful. I do deserve this. Like
Yeah.
all of these things. Yeah.
Of course you want to marry me.
Yeah.
Duh, we should move in. Yeah.
I'm a 10.
But I think it's when the first thing starts going wrong that you're like, oh, there's a little alarm. Let me snooze it and hear that. You
Snooze
know?
it, yeah.
And I think there's almost like a level of like you're trying to prove something to yourself. Like, no, I didn't rush into this too quickly. No, I didn't do that, because like then they'll all be right. So you almost, this is speaking from experience, then you almost stay in it too long out of spite for everyone else. Because
like,
you're
prove
like,
it to
I'm going
them.
to prove.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
want to go
so
through another
true.
failed relationship. Actually, my mom the other day said something to me and she was like, when you were dating the narcissist, you said to me once, I don't want to be in another failed relationship. Like, and she was like, for you to even say that just means you shouldn't be in the relationship.
Right.
But I wanted to prove to everyone, because I had a lot of people in my life that were like, oh, here we go again. And I was like, well, now I'm going to
You're like,
sit
screw
and
you guys.
suffer.
Now I'm going to marry him
Proving
and
you
die miserable.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Like, stay,
It's true.
Like, you know, I'm going to suffer because I was trying to prove something.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want people to be right about love bombing.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets really hard. Like, you can't bring that up. You cannot bring up being love bombed to someone who's being love bombed.
It's
because
delicate.
It's,
Yeah.
we don't believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. So then I agree with her and her friends not saying anything right off the bat. And maybe I think out of all of the like tangible tips that we've said of like things you could do, I like the in the moment, because it sounds like a lot's happening. And now that they're like more settled, things will probably start popping up a bit more. Maybe do what Chloe said and wait for something to pop up and then swoop in with a like, and how does that make you feel?
Yeah, the therapist.
You
The
know,
therapist line
how that is it, do you think it's weird that he said that? Do you think it's weird that he won't let you hang out with this person or whatever it is that he's doing? I think like really lean into that and just see how she reacts. Yeah. And if she reacts in a more open way, like she wants to talk about it, awesome. If she doesn't, that's concerning, but like gotta respect her
Let them.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Let them live their life. And then just I also agree with Taryne. I would remove, if you feel strongly about your family not being around, do it. Like you got to do what you got to do. That's fine. But I would somehow articulate to her that you're here for when she needs you. Like you're not ditching her.
Always a phone call away.
You know, like
Yeah.
I'm always, hey, like I'm focusing on mom mode. I'm doing my thing over here. But I hope you know, like if you ever need anything, like I'm here and I will be here to help out. And that way you're not just like, bye. You know?
I think also her being pregnant is a great segue to be like, have you guys talked about parenting? Like, do you think he's going to be a good father? Are you excited to see him as a father?
Yeah.
Like asking those questions to kind of,
what have you seen?
Yeah. Like, you know, is he going to be nurturing? Like those, maybe not phrasing it that way and phrasing it in a way of like, you know, oh, who do you think is going to be the stricter parent?
Yeah.
Saying something like that. And then she'll be like, oh, well, he won't, you know, and then that's like open the door and you're like, oh, well, you know, you can kind of compare it to your husband and how he is as a father, and, you know, not to make her feel bad, but to give an example of like,
because priorities so shift.
Yeah.
Once you're going from like, you know, single in a relationship to a mom. So now it's like going to be all about the kid.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like what's your family going to look like? Let's talk
Right.
about like your child and how he's going to help raise your child, you know? And
It'd be
I
a
feel
natural
like
question.
that changes the whole subject too. It's not about you. It's not about him. It's about the kid and what's best for the kid. And
For sure.
all moms are going to be like, best for the kid.
Mama bear.
Yeah.
I'm going to request an update, please, on this. Can you
Jeez,
please let us
seriously.
know
Both stories.
how it goes? Yeah, but everything.
Also, like tickets if he's in the NFL.
Literally, I would love that. If his coach is hot, let me know.
Yeah. Let's hook Taryne up with the coach.
Would love. Thank you guys so much for coming.
This was great. This was great advice.
I knew we were gonna vibe, and it was so fun. And also, if you guys do you want to shout out like your handles, like personal and your podcast, so people can get more of you?
Yeah.
I'm Life of Emma Page on everything. And our podcast is That's Unhinged.
Yep. And then I'm just Chloe Madison.
Such a cute
That's
name.
so great. You guys
cute.
got good handles.
She's like, my name's Ashley. So.
You know how many Ashleys are out there?
I feel like mine's a little like AOL. I'm like Life of.
Yeah, my original had an XO in it because I
remember
started
that.
a YouTube channel 10 years ago, and the whole thing was like sugar
XOXO,
baby blah blah
Ashley.
blah blah XO whatever, and I could not get a simple. All I wanted was Ashley Nicole. Could not for the life of me get it. So my YouTube channel is XO Miss Ashley Nicole, and it's embarrassing to say. But it is what it
embrace
is.
it.
It was
is what
correct for the
is.
times.
It was perfect for the times, but
unique.
the times are gone. And
It also
You know,
goes
it's-
around. Like
it's
my
I was just gonna
MySpace
say,
was
if it's
tearing it
vintage.
up,
Flash
and
your
now we
back.
have a segment
we
called
have
Tearing
the,
It
we
Up.
have
so.
the flats, and pretty soon the
Yeah,
XO
XOs will be back. Yeah. And it'll be like Lil Emma.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
As long as
Emma.
low-rise jeans stay in their grave, I'm fine with
They're not. They're
anything
back.
else.
Yeah, I
They're-
was gonna
they're
say,
full back.
I mean,
I picked up
I
on that one.
refuse to. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that's just the throwback.
I have to
photo.
have the right.
It's not real.
shirt.
Yes.
Not real.
It's I've learned.
You're never gonna do the crop with
Yeah.
me,
Can't
but
Yeah, can't wear them like I used to, but
Yeah.
with the right shirt, yes, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay, well, we always, sorry if this is like not your humor, but not sorry because it's mine. And you're on our podcast right now. We always end with a dad joke, which is like, we always make a joke because like Ash, it's not her humor, but it's so mine. And
Yeah.
but she allows me to have one segment at the end. Do you do it at the end? Because you know, like most people have like fallen off.
I've dipped out by now.
retention.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, originally this podcast originally, so Taryne and I, we've been doing this for 5 years. The first year we were committed to this is going to be a funny podcast. Like this is going to be like silly. This is going to be like real, like good, like silly stories, like jokes, lots of laughter. It took a turn and the audience really just started sending in like deep stories.
They were
And
like,
some of
you're
them
not
got
funny, so stop talking.
some of them got deep, and we were like, let's lighten it up with a dad joke. And I feel like that's why it's
And
at
then
the
one
end.
time she was like, "Ugh, I hate dad jokes. And so I was complaining about it. And everyone came at her. It
Yeah.
was like, let her have this.
So this is Taryne's dad
Thanks,
joke
guys.
segment.
Okay. This one is, I don't get why Marvel doesn't use Hulk to advertise more. He's basically one big banner. Do you get
That's
it?
good.
Because
his last name's Banner.
Do you get it?
Oh, I didn't get it.
Banner?
I
Bruce
was like,
Banner?
he's big enough for a little slow
There's,
on some
no.
things.
Dad joke humor isn't for everyone. I'm aware.
No, I love dad joke humor. I'm actually here for it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, guess what? There is so much more to come. It doesn't end here. Taryne and I are actually going on to Unhinged, the podcast,
Patent pending.
later today. So when this episode comes out, we will be coming out on your guys' podcast Tuesday. So the very next day. I don't know when y'all are listening to this one, but it's probably out already, or it could be out already. If not, if you're listening to it the day that it dropped, we're coming out tomorrow.
And we'll definitely have in the show notes a link to the episode and your guys' like stuff if you guys want to check them out.
Perfect. Well, guys, if you made it to the dad joke, you already know the drill. We love you the mostest. Send in. What should they send in? What's a good story they should send in? Relationship?
Ask just
We already did
anything.
relationship.
Okay?
No, I always give them something.
Yeah, you gotta be
What's an
specific
email
to
they
be
could
terrific.
send in?
What did we say?
Love bombing.
Oh, love
if
bombing.
You have a
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
bombing story.
Love bombing.
This is your moment. Write in the story, and where should they send it to, Taryne?
Advice unsolicitedpod@gmail.com.
Perfect. Follow us on socials, and we'll talk soon.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.